In our last lesson, we added a logo type to the left-hand face of our design, and we also put in an internal light fitting at the top of the head of the mobile traffic light tower. Okay, in this lesson, we're just going to refine that detail just a tiny bit more, and we're going to add another logo type or logo face just on this section here. The commands that we got familiar with in the previous lesson were the text tool, the surface offset tool, and we also, for the first time, used the copy to object layer command under the layers manager. So we'll just be building from there. Now, as per normal, we're just going to isolate the element of the design that we want to be focused on. So we're just going to drag that portion there. I'll just hold down the control key and deselect that. That will do nicely. Then we hide it. Then we dig under the hide command and swap out the element. So we're just looking at the top of the design now. Now the first thing that we need to do is we just need to remove a small piece of the design that was incorrect before. So we can just take that portion out next to the F. And if we zoom in here, you'll see the same section is on that portion as well. And the red section is still intact underneath. Now we need to simply dig underneath the elements there, and we're going to take the brown pieces and group them for the moment. So we'll grab each letter as we go through. There we go, we're just working our way across. There we go. Left clicking each time to select the element. Right, we've got the letters from the top section. We're just going to group those from the bottom section rather. Now we're going to take the letters from the top. There we go. Group those, so left click on the group command. Now, we would like this to have some solid geometry if we zoom in on the design at a later stage. So we're just going to project that geometry down. So in order to do that, we're going to put in a small polyline. Check the layer that we're on. Yep, that will be fine. Left to there. So we have a small polyline connecting the top edge of the letters to the bottom edge. We're just going to change our layer manager and move ourselves onto the ConF layer. That's it, and now we move to the solid command, left click, and we're going to choose extrude surface along curve this time. So the surfaces we want to extrude are the ones we grouped at the top before. Now we zoom in, right click, it'll ask for the path curve. We're going to zoom in on that path curve and click just the leading edge of it. And we can now delete the group on the front face there. So as we look at the screen, on the perspective view, we now have our logo type in position. Now we can just remove that portion for the time being. So we're just selecting the inner portion and hiding it. We can hide the, that's ungrouped. Hold on 1 second. There we go. We're just holding down the shift key and we're going to hide the top section. Scroll across to grab the remaining portions. Hold down control to remove those sections that we don't want and hide the top. We'll just get a little bit more. Hide the top. Now we'll hide the bottom section. So I'm scrolling from right to left and holding down the left mouse key. There we go. We can hide that. So we've now isolated the problem to just that front mounting ring. Double click on the front mounting ring. We can work on the ConF layer, turn off the layer manager, and this time we're just going to put in a small circle on the front face of the design. So we've used the circle command, left click, center and radius, clicked on the midpoint, and we'll make the radius 7. There we go. So I've just keyed that in. I'm going to drag that circle to the left. There we go. And now we're going to make a hole in this fitting here. So in order to do that, we simply use the solid, extrude planar curve straight command, and you can see on the top view there, it's just projecting through. That will do nicely. and we need to make a hole in that surface there. So we're going to use a command that we've used previously. So we're simply going to take that element there and use the Boolean difference command. So we dig under the Boolean commands. It's the second one along. Left click on Boolean difference. It will ask you for the surface you're subtracting with, which is the cylinder we've just made. We've now got a small recess in that element there. We want to create a nice little radius around that edge to make it a little bit more appealing in the design. So we're just going to double click on the perspective view, and the command we want is surface fillet edge, and the radius of the edge will be 2. So if it's not 2 on yours already, just simply type in R. Okay, now fillet edge, return. Okay, it'll ask for the surfaces you want to fillet. So we've got the internal surface and the outside surface, and you can see now we've radiused that edge. Now, one of the things I can recommend at this stage is we just take that radius in 2 portions, 3 portions, join it together with the join command, and we want to join it to the rest of the surface there when we allocate our materials, so we can then change that to the following surface. So what we're going to do is 2 ways to do that. The first one is we can just join it. So we're just going to select everything and the bit we had before and just click join. You'll notice that that outer ring has now changed to con level F, and we're going to change that back to the other con layer. So we're just going to grab it all, open our layer manager, and we'll place it on the traffic cam layer. So change object layer. Now the next element that we need to do, turn off the layer manager. We're going to make a planar curve, which we've done previously, and we're going to slide that into position, and that's going to end up as a logo on our final design. So left click on surface, scroll down to planar curve. The surface is already made. Double click on perspective view with the left mouse, and we're just simply going to manually drag that into position. So left click, turn off the snap controls, and looking at front view, we'll just set that to wireframe for the moment so we can see it in there. That's perfect. And we're just going to left click and drag into the location that we need. And we can see we're just behind the fillet there. So we've got our element in place. And that has now completed the logo design in a bossed recess or a filleted recess on that mounting ring. So let's show everything on screen now. The last thing that we need to do just to finish out this lesson is we're just going to put a number of small fillet edges on the top and bottom of that fitting. So we'll just quickly isolate the design again. So isolate that element that we're working on. Deselect the post. There we go. Okay, now hide that. Select the bottom portion again, the very bit that we need. So scrolling from right to left, hide. Hide, there we go. Now dig underneath the hide command to swap hidden and visible. We've got everything in place there. We're just going to join those elements. So scroll down to join. There, it's clicked in. Yeah, that's fine now. We'll check the top as well. No, that's already been joined. Now we just need to fillet those edges. So we just go to surface, scroll down to fillet surface, and this time we'll make the radius 1. So we simply key in R, return, type in 1, return, and we're going to fillet this top edge there. So fillet that one, fillet the one underneath, and you can see that the radius is there. We want to change that radius to the right surface shortly, but we'll do that in a moment. We'll do it with the bottom edge as well. So right click to bring up the previous command, bring those 2 edges into play, and you can see we've now filleted those edges. Oops, just shell out to get that to bring up the command bar again. So we just want to select the surface, there we go, and we'll take the top surface as well. Group those temporarily, and we're going to move them onto the correct layer this time. So we just simply open up our layer manager, and we want it on, let's see, con level G as far as I know. So change object layer. In order to confirm that, we'll just slide the layer manager to one side. And if we click on any item there and look on the lower section there, you can see the active layer for what we've selected is con layer G. So we're going to join those elements together again. So hold down Shift. There we go. Select the poly surface. There we go. We'll select the bottom as well. That's it. And the underside. Holding down the Shift key to add to our selection. And then we're just going to select the join key. Okay, so that's completed everything. We've refined our detail. We're just going to bring everything onto screen. Click on our perspective view. And there's our finalized design.